So the title is Exploit Spotting. Let me introduce myself. My current employee is WebSense Incorporation. Okay. Okay, thank you. So I'm currently performing researches related to malwares and exploit detections. And my former employer was EI Digital Security, and I developed IPS security product, and I did a lot of vendor patches regularly. And I found some vulnerabilities like MS06, 070, and CA Arc Server 1. And I usually used static analysis to find the vulnerabilities. And my tool that I'm going to talk about today is Darangrim, and it's a binary diffing tool. And I did it for something like a weekend project. So I'm telling this because this is very relevant to what I'm going to talk about. So at this point, I'm going to give you some simple question here. It's very simple. Do you really believe that if a patch is out, every security problems will be gone? Something like if there is some 0 days are out, people are always talking about some kind of patch release date or something like that. So people seems like they believe that if a patch is out, looks like every problems will be gone and every system will be secure after that. But I think the answer might be none for this question, because if we look at the configure one like a few years ago, actually last year actually. So actually it used MS08, 067 RPC vulnerability to propagate through the internal network, and the vulnerability itself was fixed at least a few months ago before each outbreak. So, and how about the drive-by exploit and exploit packs? Usually they contains a lot of old vulnerabilities, like 1 year old, 2 years old, something like that, and it still works. And they use a lot of obfuscations to evade IPS or web filters. And looks like that's what is happening. And how about the exploit frameworks like Metasploit and Core Impact and Canvas? It's not usually about the 0 days. I didn't see many times that any exploit frameworks released any 0 days themselves. They usually write something from POC or something from wildlife exploit. So looks like one-day exploit, what I'm talking about now, might be still very important. So let's talk about exploit and security product relationship here. So with exploit, we are talking about POC, just proof of concept that is disclosed on full disclosure list or something, or exploit packs that is sold by if you pay $500 or something, maybe you can buy this one, the exploit packs. And there are other things like a drive-by exploit that is uploaded to some website and people just visit that website that they are infected or something. So, and there are other exploits like exploit frameworks like Metasploit, Core Impact, and Canvas. And they are exploits, but they are still a security product that can do some kind of real-world testing. So these are exploits. And how about the security product? By security product, I meant antivirus and web filter and mail filter and IDS and IPS and vulnerability scanner Retina or something like that. I only know Retina because I worked for EI. Anyway, there were basically what I have seen from the security industry until now is they are trying to create a lot of signatures for all the threats they found. So it's all about the signatures. If there are some wildlife exploits, they create signatures for that. And there are some 0 days out, they create signatures, or they make some analyzer modules that actually can parse that kind of data and catch that exploit. So it looks like still it matters to find one-day exploit, because looks like there are many computers and personal computers and corporate networks that hasn't been applied the patches for some reasons. For example, if someone is running some corporate website that is selling some stuff, and I heard that just rebooting the system takes sometimes more than 20 minutes or something. So during the time, the company can't make money, so they just postpone their recycle date or something. So they do patch every few months maybe. So usually Microsoft releases every month, every second Tuesday, I remember. So they just postpone the a patch date. So during the time, there are some time frame that the systems inside their network can be infected. And looks like, so the conclusion here is that 0 days are very serious concern, but 1 days are also very dangerous still. So there are, you might wonder, you might question me, is there any examples that actually use the 1-day exploit or any examples like that? So I just collected some of them here. So there was one MS07004. It was a VML issue, and actually he used my tool to diff the binaries, and he created the exploit within a few days, I remember. And the next one is MS08067, and I believe it was found by, not found, analyzed by Steve Ridley, and looks like he used my tool to diff the binary, and he created the binary. From his blog, he said within few hours. And how about the MS10024? Actually, this is some undisclosed vulnerability that found by, actually not found, it's a kind of caught by Core Lab, and they found that Microsoft silently patched some issue within their system, within their DLL, not telling anyone about that. So, and now you can know that the binary diffing matters to create exploits. With the POC, you can write exploits very easily compared to without POC thing. So you can just refactor the code and put something there, and it may take a lot of time, but compared to the situation without POC, it takes relatively little time. And if you don't have POC, what option do you have? You only have you can read the vendor's page, advisor pages, or something like that, but you will never find anything useful there. They are just saying something very vague and some kind of very abstract thing there. So the only option for now is binary diffing. So you just diff the actual binary they released, and you can find the exploits. And how about the IPS and vulnerability scanners? They need to protect some unknown unknown threats before they emerge. So they need to diff the binaries before someone creates some exploit for that vulnerability that hasn't been disclosed before. So there are some good news here. Microsoft started a program called MAPP. And how many people heard about MAPP here? Can you raise your hand? Still not many people. Looks like maybe 10 people here. So yeah, it's not that known yet, looks like so, but still it's very useful to security vendors, because they can get the actual report from Microsoft saying the details, the real technical details about the vulnerabilities, the point and the crash report and how to reproduce, and they actually provide something like a POC code reproduction code or something like that. So, but I found that they are still hiding things usually. Like if they release a patch, sometimes they just saying. They are just saying that they patched just one vulnerability, but actually someone just dipped the binary. They find that they patched like 2 or 3 more. So I'm going to show the examples here after some talk about the tool itself. And the current limitation with the current binary dipping tools are like, I found that the managing files are too boring. You need to download the patches and you to store them, and you need to sort out which files to diff. And Microsoft releases 12 patches, and it takes too much time and effort. And the other problem is that if you diff some binaries from Adobe or something, then it shows more than 3,500 entries diffed. So even though you can go each entry and you finish each entry by within 1 minute, it takes a few days. So it's not feasible at all. So I'm releasing Darungrim 3 in a few days, and it has web interface, and each web interface, and people feels very comfortable with web interface, and it has a bin collector. It collects binaries and it manages all the binaries for you, so you don't need to worry about the version numbers and the file names and company names. You don't need to worry about that. And it also has some score index number called security implication score. It shows what function has more security implications inside it. So let's see. The architecture change is the old one is left side and the Darungrim 3 is on the right side. And the old one had only GUI and diffing engine and some basic sets of functionality. But Darungrim 3 has, above that, it has a Python interface above a diffing engine and database. And it also has a bin collector and web console. And this is the main page. It's just web interface. And it has a bin collector. It collects the binaries for you, and it has some kind of experimental feature downloading MS patches automatically for you. And here's the screenshot for the diffing itself. If you see around here, you can see that the patch number MS08067 here, and the OS name here, Windows XP SP3, and it shows the file name here, net API 32. And the cool thing is that it finds the original binary to diff automatically using the file name and the version string. It just compares the version string and it finds the most closest one so that it doesn't create too many results. So let's talk about security implication score. The objective of binary diffing is actually locating the vulnerabilities as quickly as possible.